Hello everyone, this is Mr. Bacher. I want to talk to you guys a little bit about taking notes out of the textbook. So I picked a chapter in the textbook that you guys have already read and you've already done a worksheet on, so you're familiar with. And we'll talk a little bit about taking notes out of this chapter. So before you take notes out of the text, it's very, very important that you first read the text to get an idea of what it's about. And when you read the text, it's important to have a purpose. Why are you reading it? What do you want to learn? So, if we look at how this textbook is designed, at the beginning of each section, there's always this thing called the guide for reading. So before you read the text, you should look and say, hey, what are the things that I should know when I'm done? And in this particular text, there are three key concepts. You want to know what are the main functions of the cell membrane, what happens during diffusion, and what is osmosis. So as you're reading, keep those things in mind. And after you read the section in the text, you want to go ahead and see, well, do I know that now or do I not? That'll tell you if you actually understood what you read. If you didn't, maybe browse back over the text again. So after you're done reading the textbook with purpose, try to look and see what the key concepts are. And the next thing that you should do is start taking notes. So when you start taking notes, the first thing, so I went ahead and took a page of notes on the first 2 pages in this chapter, is you want to answer the questions from the guide for reading. So I went ahead and did that here. Okay, I highlighted to show, hey, this is the important things in the text because it's from the guide for reading. So I answered those questions there. Okay? And then after I answered each one of those questions, I started taking notes. So looking at the text, it has cell membrane as a heading. That means that that's really important. Okay? So I put that into my notes and I underline it. And then when I wrote about the cell membrane, I noticed, hey, this is one of the main themes of or one of the key concepts of this chapter. So I highlighted it again. Say, hey, the cell membrane controls the movement of materials in and out of the cell and also supports and protects. Okay, then I kept reading here and I came across lipid bilayer. Okay, so that's bolded, so that's an important word. So I went ahead and took some notes on lipid bilayer. Okay, went on to the next page, talked about diffusion. So I wrote a little bit about diffusion and what I understood about it from reading the text. So this is my own words. Okay, and then I drew a little picture about diffusion and concentration as I understood it from the text. So really important, okay, when you're taking notes is that your notes just aren't you copying stuff out of the textbook. That's kind of a waste of your time because you could just look back at the textbook. Instead, what you're doing is after you've read the text, you look back, you pick out what is really important, okay, and you write that stuff in your own words, and then also include some pictures or images in there as well, that when you look at your notes, you're like, oh yeah, that's what this chapter was about. Okay, so your notes should be very, very useful when you go back to study for an exam. Right, so I hope you guys found this very useful. And this is a good strategy for taking notes in your textbook.